change, and you put quotes like this. What's your position in terms of the climate change and anthropocentric climate change? And this narrative.
I don't believe it's anthropogenic.
Uh-huh.
It's a natural, it's just a cycle. I mean, the Earth has 4.5 billion years, okay? And attribute that the climate has changed in the last 35 years due to human activity is frankly insulting. I mean, we know by sure that climate is not a steady thing. It has been changing all over the existence of the Earth. I do believe that we contaminate, of course, we do contaminate. I do believe that we do not dispose correctly of our garbage. That's a different thing. But I do not believe that climate change, I mean, up or down, is generated by humans. Okay, climate change is just a natural cycle. It's just a natural cycle. I mentioned that I was curious and I'm a good student. Okay, a couple of years ago there was this event here in Peru that was called El Niño Costero, that affected the coastline of Peru very heavily with lots of floods. Okay, and of course all the media was claiming that these floods were due to the climate change. And I started getting into the web and getting information and pictures and images from the past. And I found out that a similar event happened in the middle of the 1940s in exactly the same areas that affected Peru, but it was like 60 years ago. Okay, with exactly the same effects. I mean, big floods, and I said, okay, 60 years ago, nobody talked about climate change. Actually, not even the guys who talked about climate change and blame it on the people would dare to say that in 1940 there was a climate change due to our CO2 emissions or whatever, no? And I found the reports of the media of that time claiming that a big flood was happening in the north part of Peru, blah, 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 with the main cities being underwater. And then I started recollecting more historic data regarding on the same area why an ancient Peruvian civilization was wiped away from the map and was basically for the same event. So I said, okay, if it's the same event, has nothing to do with humanity, it has to do with a cyclical thing, with nature, no? And of course, 5 years ago, I would say I was just curious about climate change, and of course, the only thing I read about climate change was what the media produced, and saw the movie from Al Gore, and of course, you said, okay, woo, wow, what a problem. But one day I said, okay, I will assume that climate change is caused by humans. Now I want to read the other side, the guys who claim that it's not produced by humans. And I started reading, and I have a couple of books here. One is Climate Change, the Facts. The other is The Great Global Warming, Blunder. And I have six more books regarding the issue, because I become how could I say it, skeptical about we being the main motor of climate change. And after reading and after what I've been my own research, I do believe that climate changes, and it changes every time, but it's not because of us, it's because nature is like that. Okay? So that's where I stand with climate change.
Great. This phase of talking about the sector, we're closing it now. I will make a last question if you want to fill in information, but I would like to ask you, what would, from your perspective, make the workshop be of high value for you?
No, I think that, learning